Yeah, and when he pulled it out, it had a piece of sweet corn on the end.
Brilliant, love it. I've developed this thing. I've stolen this thing that people do to sync audio between video and microphones, and you go, and that creates a big spike, so I can watch that on both things and just match the spike up. How good's that?
That is so cool.
Really cool, isn't it? I'm learning every day.
Dead professional.
Welcome to the Wheels and Wings podcast. I'm Ben Molesworth off of Tasty Classics. This is Wynne Garratt.
Yeah, I am. You've done it, so there's no point in me saying.
No, but what are you off?
I'm not off anything. I see what you did there.
I just see. Could you just pop your head behind that camera and see if it's catching me? Because I think I might need to come in a little bit more without moving it.
Not sure how I could miss you, to be honest. I can't see anything.
Is it black?
It's black coloured.
There you go. Try that now. Hello. I'll just talk while Wynne's doing that. How is everybody? Are you good? If you like what we're doing on this podcast as well, please just give us a subscribe, because that would help. Because if we get over 1,000 subscribers, then it makes us feel like this isn't a complete waste of time. Well
on the way.
Give us thumbs up in Spotify and anything else like that. I don't really know however you do it. Was that all right then?
I think so. You're in it. I don't know if I am.
Well, I think you're closest. Yeah, so I just that's cool. All good. I saw that you were in it because I looked.
Yeah, but I moved it since then.
So the first thing we should talk about is the little conversation we had as we came in about independent businesses.
Yeah, I noticed you've got a Costa coffee.
No,
Is it
Pret a Manger?
Oh yeah. And I'm looking after the local independents here with. I don't think they are very. Well, they are. There are in some in London, I think, but I've tried to go to independent restaurants and places like that to support them, because especially in Chester there's a lot of them, and I try to look after the locals, if you like, and not the chains.
So restaurants is completely different. What? I would say. Hang on, I think I might have just knackered the thing by moving it then. All the lines went all fuzzy. No, it should be all right. Let's carry on. Hope the best. So restaurants are completely different, because I think an independent restaurant can be better than chains. Well, in fact, most of them are usually better than chains. Coffee shops, though, completely different kettle of fish. So I think that one of the greatest things you can do in business is to not put any barriers in front of a customer. Right, remove as many obstacles, barriers, steps, anything you like in front of a customer.
You mean literally physical barriers?
Physical and just steps in the transaction process. From the customer walking through the door to walking out with the product that they had in mind.
Yeah.
So this is where I think independent coffee shops fail all the time, and why I don't like going to them. Because when I walk into Pret, I go, "Hi, ice mocha please." He goes, "Yeah, tap there, tap." Go to the end of the thing, ice mocha, and I've walked out. That's all, and that is brilliant. So the last time I tried to get an ice mocha at an independent coffee shop, I've tried 2 or 3, and just normal coffees as well. Like, it's all right if you're just having but even if I wanted an Americano with milk, you go in there and you say, "Can I have an Americano with milk?" And they sort of go, "Oh, do you?" And then they point to whatever name they're going to call it. "Oh, do you want this?" And then they're like, "Do you want hot milk or do you want?" And I'm like, "Mate, shut up."
Oh, you want efficiency over quality. Right,
well, yeah, but you say quality, I think the coffee from Pret a Manger is really good. I don't think that necessarily an independent company would be better. I don't know why they would be.
Well,
bearing in mind that,
But I don't see the logic of... So you're saying steps in the transaction. So I just went to... So if you go to Jaunty Goat, for example...
Yeah. But they're a cafe as well, aren't they?
Well, it's a coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah, primarily a coffee shop. And I can't think there's many... I can't think of additional steps in the process.
Well, so the iced mocha is probably a better example. So what have you got there?
Flat white.
Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? But like go and ask for. So the last one I went into, they were loads of problems. So these are the various things that I've had thrown at me.
Loads of problems.
So these are various things I've had thrown at me.
Yeah,
we haven't got the right cups. Can't do it.
Oh,
haven't got any ice today. I'm sorry. Sorry, just haven't got any ice at the moment. Oh, right, okay. Okay, well, I'll go somewhere else then. You know, and then you've got stuff like that button isn't on our till.
Right.
I'm like, okay, can you put? So what are you telling me? So I can't buy an ice mocker from you because the button's not on your till? I don't know. You know, what's the situation here? Like, why are we even having this conversation?
Yeah.
You know,
No, that's fair.
I'm tired. I want my coffee. Fucking leave me alone. And stuff like and some of them, one of them in particular, asked me what that was.
Well, what's an ice mocker?
Yeah, they were like, oh, what do you mean an ice mocker? Do you mean there's another name for it, an iced frappe latte or something? I was like, I don't know, mate. Every time I go into a chain and I ask them for an ice mocker, nobody ever asks me what I need there. But I've come into your place because I'm trying to support small businesses, and now we're having a conversation about what the product is that you're trying to sell me. You know, and this is, you know, I've only brought this up because you mentioned, oh, you've been going independent. I would love to, but if you are an independent coffee shop, fucking do it better.
I'm on a mission now.
Yeah,
I'm going to look where they have ice mockers.
Well, next time you go into there, get me an ice mocker and just see how easy that is.
Yeah.
Just say to them, oh, can I have an ice mocker as well? And any more than yes from them,
I feel
I want you to write it all down and we'll go through it on the next podcast.
It would be remiss of me not to say, I think if you went back to the very first podcast,
yeah,
you walk in because you were hungover.
Yeah.
And I said, what's that? And you went, I think it's an ice mocker. Never had one before.
Yeah.
That's like the life of this podcast. And now it's like all you want.
Yeah, that's it. I've not bought a single other thing from a coffee shop apart from an ice mocker. Like,
Brilliant.
Yeah,
And it's the winter.
And it's the winter. It's just a great all weather. But you know,
it.
I'd love to just go into, you know, an independent, and it's the fucking best one I've ever had. And it's, you know, it's all amazing. Instead of getting all this shit off, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's all about airplanes. I wonder if you can get them on airplanes or in the back of F-250s. You probably can.
Do you remember that Foo Fighters song "Learn to Fly" where he puts loads of drugs in the coffee maker?
Yeah,
and they have coffees on the plane.
Yeah,
and they'll get fucked up.
Yeah,
great music video. Though.
Yeah, good one.
It was really good.
So we've had some questions, haven't we?
We have. Do you want to go through them now?
Shall we?
Go on,
straight in.
Okay. Have you got any written down? Because I've not got them in front of me.
I haven't.
Okay. Well,
there's two things we need to do. There was a comment from somebody early on. I say somebody because I can't possibly know who this is. It's K8VNL, and it was basically wanted me to talk more with you two, obviously, if you know anything about it, but about Vulcans.
Nice. Okay. Whoops.
So there's that one, which we'll come to, and then one of the guys recently said you should have a Q&A because I've got some questions for both of you, and I think that's what you're looking at, aren't you?
I'm looking that up as we speak, but the problem is you can only go back so far.
Well, let me start with Vulcans. I mean, so that's the first job I ever had in the RAF as an engineer.
What is a Vulcan?
It's
cold... Is it a tequila tanker?
Yes. It's a Cold War. So the defense strategy was to have a nuclear deterrent that was airborne in the 60s and 70s.
Nice.
And they developed 3 different types of bombers: Valiant, Victor, and Vulcan. And they're 3 completely different looking aeroplanes.
Right.
But it was part of this nuclear deterrent.
All made by the same company?
No, they weren't all made by the same company. I know Handley Page made the Victor, and we're going to talk about Vulcans. It'll come to me. I'm not sure who made the Valiant.
Yeah.
There'll be people on here screaming, going, "Oh my God, don't you know that?" But I will look it up.
I have got a laptop connected to the internet here, so I will, as you're talking, I will look it up.
So the Vulcan was arguably the most memorable because it was a massive delta wing. So if plan form, if you looked at it, it looks like a huge triangle. Have you ever seen it? Does it ring any bells?
Yes, it does. Yeah, yep.
And it had the same engines as the the Concorde had the same engines as the Vulcan, but it was a 4-engine, incredibly powerful nuclear bomber initially. and we had loads of them. Incredible machine, and they were on standby 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, as our nuclear deterrent, or part of it.
Wow.
And
how many of them do you think were sort of in service, like throughout the UK?
I can't remember, but it was basically prior to having nuclear submarines, or not nuclear powered, but nuclear weapon submarines, which is now our nuclear deterrent, isn't it? Trident.
Yeah.
It was the V-Force, as they were called, and the Vulcan was the first thing that I worked on back in the early 80s when I first joined. But I was excitingly, so bored with it. It was like a factory, but it was an incredible thing to work on. I was in Vulcan major servicing, so they'd come from the squadrons.
Cam belts, that sort of stuff, brake fluid change.
In depth, rip them apart. Months, it'd be in the shed for months. So it'd be put up on stilts. They'd take the undercarriage off, take the engines out, and it was really, sort of an in-depth servicing, even more in-depth than you did on my car the other day.
Yes, which I thoroughly enjoyed, by the way. Lovely car to work on.
Is it?
Yeah, I'll talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So that was my first job out of training, and I worked on these things. They're massive, they're huge, they're very, very impressive.
So the one thing I know about them is from the episode where we talked about them was that they got converted a lot to do different things, like tankers and stuff like that, which is quite interesting. I've always found that like quite cool how like they do it with passenger jets as well. If a passenger jet isn't good enough to be a passenger jet anymore, they'll turn it into a tanker or something like that, or anything else, and I think that's quite cool to extend the lifespan of it,
Yeah, I'd probably question whether if it's good enough. It's more like a demand. It might come if there are more modern passenger airplanes. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So can cover greater distances and use less fuel and all this sort of stuff.
Whereas you can chuck a load of cargo in the back and it's not going to complain. The toilets are a bit crap. Yeah. No,
that's very cool, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just an amazing airplane. And what was incredible was when you got to the end of the servicing process, they pull it outside, and that's another whole conversation. There was a guy there. This was at RF St Athan in South Wales, and there was a guy there who'd been there for about 250,000 years, and all he did was drive this enormous tug for dragging these Vulcans in and out of the hangar.
Bloody hell. So he absolutely loved a tug, did he?
Well, he loved a tug, and his was huge. And what was really... It's a carry-on film all of a sudden. It happens so often with you. And what was really impressive was watching this guy manoeuvre this enormous airplane without a lot of space to get in and out of the hangar.
Well, it's easy, isn't it?
For you, it would be, clearly. But that process, they drag it
they're
out.
quite big. I'm just looking at a picture of one now. I'll try my best to stick a picture of one of these up on the YouTube if you're watching it on the YouTube. They are really, really, really impressive.
Yeah, they are impressive. And what the good bit about it towards the end of the servicing process, they take it out for engine runs, and we'd stand underneath the thing looking for sort of oil coming out of the wrong place, that sort of stuff. And there are a few checks. I was working on the electrical side of it, and you'd stand on this would never happen now. You'd stand on an A ladder, an aluminium ladder. And there's a thing called I think it was called the plenum chamber, right at the back underneath the Vulcan.
Right.
And there were a few sort of voltage checks you had to do, and you had to stand on it while all four engines were running, and they chain it down. And they'd go up to various power settings. And I remember that saying to one of the chief technicians that my ear defenders were knackered.
Right.
So they were old ear defenders, and they had glycerine pads.
Right.
And when the glycerine used to burst, or somebody stick a knife in it on purpose or something, and it just run down your neck. It was just like a flat piece of plastic. And I can remember saying, "Oh, Chief, I need to go and get some new ear defenders." You're going, "Shut up, lad, get out there." And you're underneath this airplane with four engines running.
Wow.
And I remember one ear absolutely buzzing with the noise afterwards. Been to a rock concert. You get that constant high-pitched tone.
It's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. But,
Fucking
it was the 80s, wasn't it?
Well, that's it, yeah.
Anyway, So sorry, I don't know if that satisfies your lust for Vulcan chat.
We're not finished yet.
Oh, come on.
So the Avro Vulcan was made by Avro, which is Avro and Company.
Yeah.
Avro, which was really, really good. And it could reach... Well, no, sorry. Its cruising speed was 912 kilometres an hour.
Kilometres? Who talks about kilometres?
I know, anyway, it's mad, isn't it? What even is a kilometre?
What is even that?
But it's just really impressive because that's how fast you're taking a tanker full of tequila over the sea from Mexico to here, which is really good. So retired in March 1984, it says as well, which is interesting. Didn't
That keys in nicely, doesn't it? Because I was also my final part...
Was that when you retired?
On Vulcan Spares Recovery. And they used to taxi them in, like for their last flight, get out, and I've just remembered this, and then we'd nick all the bits off them and send them back to the squadron. So if it was like, there's a thing called FI, which is fatigue index.
Yeah.
And if an aeroplane gets to the point where the fatigue index is high, they just like retire it, especially if it's coming to the end of its life. And what these guys used to do, the aircrew used to do, as mementos, they'd want to do things like keep the actual stick top, so the thing you fly it with.
Yeah.
So what they'd do is like they'd come to a halt and they'd just saw it off, and we'd get in, and
there'd be
and you'd have to defuel it. And there'd be like just a load of wires sticking out.
And
they'd go, "Oh, Garratt, get in there, make that safe." And I'd be going, "Fuck's sake, is this allowed?" And this guy like walking off with his stick tuck, which I would have done.
Yeah,
by the way.
Of course, it sounds brilliant.
But that sort of thing used to go on, and then it was just horrendous because you take everything off it. It would be dragged over to a corner of the airfield, and then they'd come along and sort of like just rip it up for scrap, which is like,
sad,
it has to happen, but it seemed sad.
There's a brilliant little clip of a video I watched the other day of a jet, big jumbo jet, passenger plane, and it had retired, and it was parked in a sort of Vegas style desert type sort of storage place, and the wind, there was like a hurricane sort of wind sort of scenario, and someone had videoed this plane, and it was rising at the nose.
Oh, right.
Sort of look, because the wind was hitting it directly, it was rising at the nose, and they just put this caption that like it wants to fly again. It's so sad watching it. This old plane that was just like obviously fucked. Was just having these last little moments in the sky. It was great. It's really good.
We'll talk about that another time as well. The difference between helicopters and airplanes. Airplanes want to fly, and helicopters just beat the air into submission. It's a very different prospect. But anyway, carry on.
Nice. So another question we've got. So this is from Volkswagen Brenedon. Is it Brendan or Brenedon? You have to let us know, Volkswagen Brenedon.
Might be Brendan.
Well, it's got an I in it.
Oh, Brenedon then.
Yeah.
As in Femidon.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No. So, do you want to do, because he's got questions for both of us, do you want to do one of yours first?
Yeah, sure. I have no idea what it is.
What style of plane do you prefer flying? Single or dual prop planes or jet engine? If you go for a leisure flight.
For a leisure flight? So like...
You flying something for fun.
If I was flying it, definitely ex-military jet engine type airplane.
Wow.
It's just
because they're faster.
Performance, and it's so much smoother.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, it's just, but mainly performance. Jet performance is incredibly different to prop.
But if you look at like cars, for example, so say like if you said to me like, do you want to go round the Nurburgring in a brand new Dodge Challenger or an older one? Every day of the week I'd be taking the older one because it's just that much more ridiculous and more fun and more difficult and more analog and just scarier, and just everything about it's old and fucked, and just like it's, whereas the new one would probably get bored after a few laps, well, you wouldn't, but you know it'd probably, the old one, it'd be you against the car for hours.
Yeah.
So is that not the same as driving like an old prop aeroplane against
if you're talking about, so for me it would probably always be ex-military.
Yeah.
If you're talking about, and I've never flown one, but flying a Spitfire or a Hurricane or a Mustang or something like that,
that'd be cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if that was the option, you had like an ex-military jet or you had an ex-military Spitfire.
Yeah. Well, I guess flying versus owning.
And they said you could have 3 hours on your own up in the sky, do whatever you want. It's your airspace.
Yeah.
Do as many loops as you want.
Oh,
not loop the loops.
You're good.
I'm remembering.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody would want to fly a Spitfire. I mean, every pilot wants to fly a Spitfire. It's just a thing of beauty.
Have you ever flown anything close to one of those?
Nothing. Anything like it. But if you said you can own anything and it's yours, I'd definitely have a Hawk T Mark 1, which is, I mean, the Red Arrow is still using them now, but it's just...
Where would you put it, though?
Well, just Harden.
Yeah.
Locally. So at Harden...
So you can rent a little parking space?
Yeah, I don't know why I'm doing that. It's sort of over in that direction. So there's a company there that flies ex-military training airplanes, jet provosts, around the air show setup. So yeah, that's a thing.
Nice.
So yeah, probably Harden if I was living in Chester. That makes sense.
Yeah. Fair dues. That's cool.
Love the Hawk. So simple. So the reason is, I know it inside out. I flew it for 12 years. So and it almost got better every time you flew it.
Nice.
And it's so simple. So you don't need any. So to start it up, you don't need any external power. It's all
got
internal
batteries in it and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's got a little gas turbine starter. There's a tiny little jet engine on the spine of the airplane.
Yeah.
So when you get in, you literally put the batteries on. You press the button on the front of the throttle, and this little GTS, as it's called, gas turbine starter, starts up. And it just winds up to a set RPM. And then when you press the start switch forward, it channels air through and just winds the engine up to fast enough. So you just put literally like a car engine, spark and fuel in, and it starts the engine. But it's all done internally.
Yeah,
so
nice.
that's the first thing. So you don't need any external services. And you can also, all the fuel's internal, so it's all neat and tidy.
Yeah.
You can fly from the UK to Nice in one go. It's
nice.
Just
How long did it take you?
About an hour 40. Something
That's
like that.
amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's so
50.
cool.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful. Yeah,
that's great. I think if you're like a multi-millionaire or billionaire, and you just like I hate being on planes for any sort of length of time.
You're
like
big though, aren't you?
Yeah, big guy. But like an hour and a half, 2 hours probably max for me on a plane. Otherwise, I start getting really antsy. But if I was like a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, I'd try and learn to fly like a small jet aeroplane.
Yeah.
And then I if I wanted to go to how long would it take you to go to New York in one of those? Probably like 2 hours, 3 hours, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you wouldn't get there because you haven't got enough airplane fuel. So you'd have to go sort of Iceland,
Hence
Canada.
Why they have big ships that carry planes.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah,
and also the frontline airplane have air-to-air refueling, don't they? Which we've talked about before.
But again, if you're a billionaire, you pay someone. You could do that, couldn't you? You could fly the tanker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go off ahead first.
Yeah.
And I'll meet you halfway.
Nice. I like what you've done there.
Yeah.
Hang around in the motorway service station for me.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, John Travolta, have you seen the pictures of his house from the air?
Right.
So it's a house, but it's attached with two hangars, and one of them's got a Boeing 707, an old Qantas, like Australian Airways 707, and that's his.
Nice.
And then you start this thing up, and you go down a little taxiway onto a runway, which is like next to the house.
Wow.
So that's what you need.
Yeah, 100%. That'd be so cool. And then when you're not using it to drive planes on and off, you can ride cars around it.
Because these sad old tossers who have not going to divide opinion here, are we? Who have houses next to golf courses, so they can play golf.
Nice, yeah, clever.
Well,
Same thing.
In American, you can have your house next to any sport you do. You have a racing track, can't you? I'm sure that's been done.
Yeah, there's a few people in Britain like that as well, isn't it? Like the guy who owns Goodwood. Obviously, he's got
What,
racetrack.
Lord, what's his name?
Lord Goodwood, I don't know.
Lord Goodwood.
Can't remember his name.
That's a fella.
Right, Volkswagen Brennan says, Ben, what's been your fastest lap around the Nurburgring and what were you in? It would have been a BMW Z4. So it was a Z4. It was the 2.5
Like
Z4.
how you said, it would have been, however.
No, it must have been that. I'm trying to think if there's any others.
Z4. Okay.
Z4.
What engine? Which one?
So it's a 2.5.
Oh.
Which
Okay.
plenty of get up and go, but also handled really well. It's dry track, and I remember doing quite a lot of laps in it, and it just worked really, really well. And there was a couple of times where it nearly went a bit wrong, but just because I was like really pushing it, so that must have been the fastest lap. But I don't know the time of it because I never really timed. Like I was, I wouldn't sort of.
So you don't go there to like get those times. You go there literally to drive around and enjoy driving around it.
So again, it's hard because I would hate to have to have a best time in my head because of traffic and like conditions and stuff. So so I have the Tower of Power thing at the workshop.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And that has got a load of lap times on there that I've done, which is great. I love it. I want to build it massively. I wish, going back in time, I could have put the Nurburgring on there. But, for example, there has been weekends that I've been over there when your track time's quite limited because you're doing other stuff or you're not there for very long. And so the track's so long, it's 14 miles. The chances of you coming across a yellow flag is so high. Yeah. And that might go on for the equivalent of maybe 15, 20 seconds. I've been through some yellow flags that traffic's really bad and it can knock half a minute to a minute off your sort of lap time because and there might be a queue to get past whatever the crash is, so you just sat there and there's all sorts of things where it would piss me off if I was going over there in something with a lap time in mind and I was like, I know this is going to beat it, I know I'm going to get my best, and I couldn't achieve it because because of traffic or whatever. And it's not about that, it's more about like just driving as fast as you can and enjoying it. A lot of people do time on it, but I've never massively been about that for me. Just enjoying it. And another thing is that you can do track days there, which is a lot better for timing and stuff. So it's exactly the same in the UK. You can do a track day, and then everybody's a bit of a better level of driver, and you tend to get much faster cars on there. Because sometimes you can be going as fast as you can, and then you get to a corner and there's a camper van going around the corner. So you have to sort of back off. Yeah. It's but on track days you don't get that. And track days, it's more sort of focused. So, and I've never done a track day there, so maybe that's something I could do once I've got a bit more money. I think that's what I'd like to do because it can be quite expensive. I think for a track day weekend, it's probably a good couple of grand, including all your fuel and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And another thing as well is that I drive the cars there and drive them back.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people will trailer them there, or they'll leave their cars there, or whatever. And the ones that are really chasing the lap times will do that because it doesn't really matter if they fuck anything up or if they crash it or whatever. They can still get home. But for me, I want a bit of an easier life. I need to be at home on Monday, because I've got work or something. So yeah. But
so my brother's done all sorts of motorsport. Like I've said before, we were a motocross family, but he's tried all sorts, and he tried hill climb for a while. He bought. It looked like somebody put like an F2 car in on too much of a hot wash.
Yeah.
But it was so sorted. He bought it from Ireland.
Yeah.
So
single-seater thing.
Single-seater.
Yeah.
I think it was a GPZ 900 Kawasaki engine in it.
I know exactly what you mean. It's just a sweeping body shell.
Beautiful.
Just a big fiberglass sweeping body shell.
But it had wings on it, and on the wings, and you looked up closely, there was like degrees, and you could actually... way too much technology for him. And it came with wet tyres and slick tyres, all this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was amazing because on motorbike gearbox is sequential anyway.
Yeah.
It was amazing because you just sit in there and you just do this, aren't you, to change gear. Just push forward on the lever to change gear, which is really cool, and back the other way. But I went to see him do a hill climb at Lysafran Dam in South Wales, in Pembrokeshire. And one of the cars there It's not about him. I don't want to talk about him. He's an arse. I love you, Steve. But there was a guy there who had driven from, I can't remember where, but it wasn't in Wales. So he'd come from outside of Wales, Worcestershire somewhere, in a 911 Porsche to do the hill climb. And he'd driven there. Yeah. And done the basic, done the sort of masking off the headlights or taping off the headlights, all this sort of stuff that you have to do at the time, which was enough to do the hill climb. Yeah. Which was amazing anyway. I thought, really? Glass and all that, but that's fine. Yeah. And he ragged it off a start light at the bottom of this dam, and you come across the bottom of the dam and over a small stone bridge.
Right, yeah.
And he went sideways into this very narrow stone bridge and, absolutely wrote off his car.
Shit.
And later, walking around, got dragged up to the top, and this thing was very second-hand.
Yeah.
When you've got a one back wheel pointing 90 degrees out, you go, that looks a bit... and he was just walking around with a hand in pocket going, I don't know how I'm going to get home.
Yeah.
So it's that, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely that. Yeah. I just, it's, the little single-seater fast things and stuff. I totally get all that, but that's never been my thing. Everybody's different. Everybody enjoys different levels of, motorsport and different types of motorsport. I've never been a massive Formula One fan or anything, But, if you said to me, build a hill climb car, I'm looking at stuff all the time at the moment, but again, I'm just not quite ready money-wise and stuff yet to pull the trigger. But I was looking at an old SD1 Rover the other day.
Okay.
That was an ex-touring car, and it was just a
big, though.
But this is it. This is the thing. This is more my vibe, So big SD1, and it was just a shell with a roll cage essentially, and all the panels. So it needed suspension, wheels, engine, gearbox, that sort of stuff. And I was like, God, that'd be a great fun thing to build, and I'd really enjoy racing that round.
Yeah.
And stuff like Mark II Jag, just something like if you had the money, like a Dodge Dart, or just anything that's a bit crazy, Ford Granada, something that's just big and stupid.
Yeah,
I would enjoy that so much more than a little Kawasaki engine single seater.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
you wouldn't get it. You'd just put one foot in it. It'd be like you'd have to have two, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
and one on each foot.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's the underdog thing. I've always been the underdog. Spent my life being the underdog, and I want to be the underdog. I want a big fat Ford Granada overtaking Porsches.
Yeah,
that's what I want. Big 600 horsepower Ford Granada.
Remember when Volvo the Volvo entered the estate in the British touring cars?
That is the dream, isn't it? The 850R, just oh wow. Absolute dream. Where I remember watching. I think that's probably where a lot of it, where I got it from. I remember watching it, just being like, God, I hope that wins.
Yeah,
I hope that wins.
just because it shouldn't.
Yeah, just because it shouldn't. Yeah. It's brilliant. Yeah, so good. Subaru did it not so long ago, a couple of years ago, with the Legacy Estate.
Remember that with
Turkey? Was it? No, I can't.
No, it wasn't. It was who's the guy who won again?
He used to drive Focus, didn't he? Can't remember his name. Anyway, but yeah, really, really good. And that's more my thing. But yeah, fastest round the Nurburgring was probably the Z4, because it was just it's a ready-made sports car.
Yeah.
And they are brilliant. Thoroughly recommend. It's a bit of fun. Value for money-wise, brilliant. Really, really good. They don't really go wrong. They're very, very bulletproof. You can fucking rag the bollocks off them. Straight six engine will always, come home again. And
do you like BMW engines?
Yeah, gorgeous. And they're fast as fuck. And again, just a very, very pleasant drive. The only problem is that from the outside perspective, you are driving a BMW Z4, which is, not the most coolest car, is it? But
so talking about that thing about, well, we weren't, but that philosophy is really interesting. That the Mercedes BMW philosophy. So it's like so BMW have all gone for the 6-cylinder approach, smooth, higher revving type thing, and Mercedes all gone. Their performance cars tend to be V8. The 6.3 litre. Huge lump.
Or shit Renault engines.
Oh, really?
A lot of the Mercedes now, yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah. A lot of the Mercedes are Renault engines, yeah. A lot of cars are Renault engines. My Discovery's a Citroen engine. It's bizarre, but yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the Mercs are Renaults, little 1.5 DCIs and things, which is mad.
So I remember my parents a million years ago having a 3 Series BMW diesel.
Yeah.
And it was 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
What a lovely smooth engine that was.
Yeah, they put that in
it was diesel.
One of my favourite cars ever, which was my Amiga Estate. Vauxhall Amiga estate, which had the 6-cylinder BMW diesel engine. Put it in Range Rovers and stuff as well.
Really good.
Fucking hell, one of the best things ever. Such a cool engine. It wasn't particularly fast or anything, but it just
so smooth.
Yeah,
Didn't sound
really,
like a diesel.
No, and it was a lovely thing to drive that until we melted the wiring loom on it. Sadly. I'll briefly tell that story. So I had this Amiga estate, and so I love Vauxhall Amigas. And this Amiga estate had the BMW diesel engine in it. I bought it at cheap to do it up for an MOT. So got it all sorted out, spent tons of money on it, getting it through its MOT. Gorgeous thing. Battery kept dying on it. So it had a little bit of a parasitic drain, or the battery was fucked. So anyway, I was just driving around it, just having a great time, loving this car. And it was a particularly dark, cold winter night. And it was parked outside work, Cartech, back in the day, which is a garage I used to own.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I know about that.
Yeah. And so it was sat there, and I ordered a new battery for it because I knew that night it probably wasn't going to start. So I was like, because I'd been home and something, I was been sat for a couple of days. So anyway, this battery came, and I ended up being really busy with a couple of customers and going to other things. And I said to my valeter, and the mechanic was busy, I had a mechanic there as well, and he was busy doing something. I said to my valeter, Ash, I said, could you change the battery on the Amiga for me? And he goes, yeah, no problem. So I was like, mint, okay. So he grabs a couple of tools, and he takes his battery and these tools all the way around to the other side of the site, which is quite a distance, and it's very dark over there. So anyways, he comes back like an hour later, yeah. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. Oh. And he's like white as a sheet. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he goes, I think I've fucked the car, like. And I'm like, with all the colour drains out. I love that car, Wynne. I love that car. And so I'm like, what do you mean? And the mechanic's like, loving it. He comes over, he's like, oh, what's up? And he goes, I think I put the battery on the wrong way round. I'm like, what do you mean? And so we walked back over to the car, and the posts had so much, the battery terminals had so much give on them that
you could cross.
You could cross them over,
some doing
but
to
not cross them over.
Badly,
cross the battery over. Oh. So the battery was the wrong way round.
Oh, literally. Oh.
Yeah. So plus, but they'd still reach. So he'd put the battery on, and it just left it there. And gone to shut the bonnet, and smoke started appearing out of everywhere, and just melted the engine bay loom and quite a lot from the dashboard loom. And it was dead. It was completely dead. It would never work again until I put it up for sale on whatever it was, eBay or something, for spares and repairs. And these two Polish guys came, right? Could hardly speak a word of English, and I didn't know if they understood the fault of the car.
Yeah.
Because I was a bit worried, and I was like, it's all fucked, it's all fucked. And they were like, yes, we fix. I'm like, you're not going to be able to fix this, mate. The entire wiring loom's fucked, like, it's all melted. Look. And I was pointing to bits of melted wiring loom, all black and horrible, like an engine bay fire. I was like, no, we fix. I was like, you're not... Anyway, 2 days later, they drove back in it.
Oh, what?
Completely fixed. And I was just like, whoa. And he goes, yes, all new loom. We put new loom behind dash, new loom in engine bays. Take us 2 days.
Where are they from?
It's good. From Zimbabwe. And then, it was just... And I was gutted because I'd sold them my amazing Amiga.
Yeah.
But it was fucked, and we didn't have the time or the patience or the money to fix it, but they obviously did.
That's impressive.
Two guys, 2 days. That's what it took.
Yeah.
Big job.
Gutted. What did you say to the
Annoyingly, he was a really, really close mate, and it was kind of my fault for giving it. So he wasn't a mechanic.
Thinking he could do something like that.
Well, yeah, he was a really good car valeter, and I just sort of I should have taken control of that myself. I don't like to blame things on other people when it wasn't his job to do it.
You're good.
I should have taken control of that, and I didn't. It would have taken me 5 minutes to do it, but I just didn't do it because I was lazy and I was with customers. But I could have done it at the end of the day.
And these things happen, don't they?
Yeah, but it taught me a lesson. I was like, I'll do it next time.
Yeah.
And I do it now.
But so my stepfather had a garage and MOT testing station in Pembrokeshire.
Yeah.
And I remember walking from the MOT testing bay, open the door into the garage, looking across at one of the new mechanics welding an exhaust on a car on the lift. And the inside of the car was completely on fire, and he was absolutely oblivious to it.
Yeah, fucking hell.
And so I ran back into the MOT testing station to Tony, and I went, I think you need I think you need to. And he's going, what are you on about? Yeah. And he will ran in and he's like, yeah, car was totaled. He had no idea. Welding mask on underneath, no idea.
So I have done exactly the same thing.
Have you?
Yeah, exactly the same thing. Should we go into it now? It's a bit long. Should we save it for another one? It's.
Is that all the questions?
No, there's a few more questions. It's a great story, and I don't want to condense it because it's quite good.
Just do it then.
Okay, all right. So can we get a beer?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Let's get a beer. Let's just. In fact, we won't
It is
pause it,
2:15.
God, yeah, it's definitely beer time, isn't it? Yeah. Do you want to pour them while I'm telling the story?
Yeah. Do that.
See if I don't think the chiller is on those, so maybe just grab us a Corona or something.
Go on
then. So, hi guys. When I had cars, I used to sell sub $2,500 cars, right? And this was long enough ago that $1,000 would get you a fairly decent car. I don't think the chiller's on.
It tastes quite cold.
Let's have a go. No, I have a Corona.
Anyway.
Get warm quickly, that. And the odd van. And I had a Renault Kangoo, sorry, not a Blingo, a Renault Kangoo. And this Renault Kangoo, little blue thing, I sold it for something like 1,250 quid, and it was a nice enough van, but it needed a couple of patches on the sills for the MOT. And so a guy comes down, he's like, yeah, I'll have it. And I was like, great, okay. I said, I'll send it for his MOT tomorrow, and you can pick it up tomorrow evening. And he was like, perfect. So he gives me 500 quid deposit, and we carry on with the day. And then I said to myself, what I'll do, because the patches on the sill were probably... thank you. Probably 2 hours work, if that. So I was like, I'll come in early, I'll do that, and then first thing in the morning we'll send it off for its MOT and we'll get it back in time for this customer to pick it up. So anyway, I tip up at the workshop at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, dead happy with myself for like getting out of bed at 6 o'clock, and I sold another couple of cars and everything's great. Completely in my own world. I've welded a million sills in my life, right? So this was no different. So I get this van into the workshop, lift it up on this 2-post ramp, and the workshop is only big enough for one ramp and one sort of car in there. To get in and out of the workshop is 2 big wooden doors. So I reversed this Berlingo in, and I lift it up in the air, and I start grinding away on these sills, and everything's great, and I cut the bits out, and I'm sort of welding it all on, and it was only going to be a quick, bit of black schultz over it, nothing fancy, just an MOT repair. So there I am, welding away, and have you ever heard metal expand when it's hot?
Yeah.
Makes a very, very distinctive noise. It goes pop.
Yeah.
Like just pops, where it just goes bunk, like that. Very, very distinctive. If you heard it, you'll know. So I'm welding away, and then I just hear a pop, and I was like, that was weird. And then I sort of carried, and bearing in mind, so it was
Sorry, this is oxyacetylene.
No, just a normal MIG welding. So I was in full headgear, full gauntlets, so they were probably up to here, because I used to worry about getting hot rocks on my arms. And then full, I used to have not an
leather
apron, but like a leather sort of apron thing as well. Just all this sort of stuff when I'm welding. Don't do any of that nowadays, but I used to, because I was a bit more concerned about setting things on fire. Anyway, so I was like, right, so all this going on, but it just means that all my senses were reduced, because I had all this gear on, so all my senses were reduced. Yeah. That's probably why I don't weld now. So anyway, welding away, and then pop, pop, and I'm like, something's on fucking, but instantly you just know something's hotter than it should be. So I look up, and there's smoke coming from the top of this van. Yeah,
no,
like, fuck, because it's obviously I'm staring at a panel. There's no windows. I'm just staring at this panel on this side of the van. I'm like, fuck. So I walk back, take my mask off, and I look up, and in through the cab you can see it's black smoke. Yeah. And I shit, fuck, and the smoke's starting to come out from all the sides. Like fuck. So I'm like, looking around and thinking, can I put this out myself? I don't know what I'm doing. So I grab the phone and I dial 999, because the unit that I was in was attached to a gym. It was attached to a dojo. It was attached to loads of. It was attached to a boreholing mining company. All this sort of mad shit. And I'm like, if I set the whole place up, and it was one of those places that was so old that it would all burn to the ground very quickly in Wales. So I was like, fuck. So I grabbed the phone and I dialed 999, and I'm lowering the ramp, and as I'm lowering the ramp with this Berlingo on it, I can see into the cab, and it's fully ablaze, and so, oh shit, fuck, and I'm looking, I can't put that out. There's no way I can put that out, even with all the fire extinguishers. There's just no way. It's properly fierce blaze going on. I was like, fuck. So I'm down, hello, I didn't need a fire engine, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, right, okay, we'll come now. And in that time, it's got really on fire, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, they're not going to get here quick enough. This is going to set the whole building on fire, because the flames were getting towards the roof, like, and I'm like, fucking hell. And, the side of the ramps and everything. So I'm like, I need to get this thing out of here. So, like, I
Has it got a hitch or anything on it?
No.
Oh.
Ran round.
Sorry, I'm solutionising and I wasn't there.
Yeah, but it'd be a screw in one or something, wouldn't it? It'd be bullshit, like. So I run round the van and I kick the legs out of the ramp. A little two-post lift, so I kick legs out the ramp, and I open the door to sort of, see what's...
Get some more oxygen in there.
Yeah, so open it, and the fucking flames were licking out the corner of the door, so all the fire was in the back of the van.
Oh, okay.
So the cab, but there was no bulkhead. It was on like on the back of the seat, yeah. So I'm like, fuck, and like, I reached my hand in, and the thing is, this van had a fucked battery. And it was difficult to start in the morning when I drove it in there. In the back of my head, I'm like, if this starts now, I promise I will jump in it and I will drive it out of here. If it starts now. Because in my head, I was like, it's not going to start because the battery's fucked, or I'm not going to be able to do whatever. Reached in, boom, started immediately. And the whole back of this thing's on fire and it's running. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. So I go around the corner, squeeze myself through the door. The heat's unbearable.
You got in it.
So jump into the van, and I'm leaning as close as I can to the steering wheel. And this happens in maybe like 10 seconds. So engine's running, and I jump in, first gear, go, foot down on the throttles, all the way to the foot, bump the clutch, bang, smash through the wooden door. So two big wooden doors, one wooden door open, one wooden door closed.
Wood isn't good in that situation, by the way.
With fires. Yeah. So smash through this window, bang! Fucking knock the thing off its hinges, fucking smash shit everywhere, like van's fucked, like, and I'm just bang! And I stop outside. There's a customer's car there, a Renault Megane. So I can't go any further, like, so I'm just stop in front of this Renault Megane, jump out, and all the hairs on the back of me all singed, everything all singed. I was like, this fucking hell, but I'm alive. Like, I'm like, yes, it's fucking brilliant. It's out. This is so good. So anyway, 5 or so minutes later, fire brigade arrives, and I've got some videos of this somewhere. It's amazing. The thing's completely gone now. It's a total car fire, like. And the fire brigade arrived, put it out, all this sort of stuff, and it ended up burning the Kangoo to the ground. Yeah. It melted the entire back of the customer's Renault Megane. Yeah. It melted all the PVC window and the drain pipe from the gym next door. Fucked my door and all my drain pipes going over the top, but that was all the damage. Like, yeah. If I'd have left it in, it would have been the whole place would have gone. Whole place would have gone.
You're absolute hero / idiot.
It's hero / idiot. Yeah. So the couple of things I learned from that is never weld on your own. You should. The general rule with welding is never weld on your own anyway. You should always have a spotter or someone around, just in case anything goes wrong. Because you can't see when you're there doing it. You're in your own, you've got such a small little window of vision, and the smell's so intense. Yeah. You've just got no chance of knowing what's going on unless you're constantly looking, and nobody does that. And also, when you're welding, check what's in the back, because what had set the fire ablaze, we learned from the other side of the van, was that to reduce the noise in the van and to make it quieter,
some sort of soundproofing,
the previous owner had stuffed every single cavity of the van and everything behind with bits of carpet, t-shirts, paper, just every single cavity that they could find. They pushed stuff into it, which I've never seen before in my life. I wouldn't have assumed that was even a thing. I would now, I would check. Yeah. But like back then, I was just like, I'd never come across that before, but they stuffed every single cavity with something.
That's amazing.
And that's what set it up.
What did, so when the fire engine arrived, they put it out. And did they say, how did you get out here?
I think I was like telling them the story like before they got a chance to ask.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. But it was funny because I did say, "Fucking hell, you got here quickly," because it was really hard to find. It was in the middle of this little industrial. He said, "Yeah, we just followed the smoke." And I was like, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But the next day, I took them a big carrier bag full of biscuits and things to their fire station. So I was like,
"They're just doing the job."
Yeah, but you know.
No, I know. Joking. That's amazing. It's like saying thanks drives when you get off the bus.
It is. Yeah. But I took them out because I was because if it had gone on for much longer, the customer's car would have everything. It would have been a lot worse. Like, and they got there so fast. I reckon they got there in less than 10 minutes. Which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. They are good, aren't they? They're good at what they do.
Yeah, you know. But we all would be if we were trained, wouldn't we?
Yes. That's
so anyway,
good, that's good.
Yeah, I loved it. It taught me a lot of life lessons, and I think thinking about it, one of the reasons I don't wear all that shit now is so my senses can be better.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe.
Have you got like a custom painted welding mask with like teeth on it?
Yeah. My minimum welding gear, which if I'm just doing something small, I have goggles. Yeah. So instead of a big mask, just have these little goggles. Yeah. So fucking cool.
Have you ever had that archive?
Oh God, yeah. I'm not going to tell that story. That was a week off work, day in hospital, fucking
painful,
bad. Oh, one of the worst fucking things in my life. Scared the fuck out of my missus. Thought I'd gone blind. Mental, like.
Yeah.
Save that for another day. Do you want another question?
Yes. Let's do that.
I'm fully aware that whenever I tell a story, it can go on for like 20 minutes. So.
Yeah. So people normally nod off, don't they?
They do, yeah. Right, so he says, I'm a Volkswagen guy, so have to ask if you have ever seen or flown a plane powered by one of the chopped down air-cooled Volkswagen engines. Interesting.
Yeah, well, I think that's a go-to engine for like kit planes. Now, I'm out of my depth here, sort of like ask me anything about military stuff.
Yeah.
And I probably won't know, but ask me anything about civilian stuff, I definitely won't know. But I've got there's a kit called a Fox, and I've definitely seen an air-cooled engine and a Volkswagen engine. Yeah, so that makes complete sense, and it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. Because of the way the shapes and stuff
and all that. It's going to work really well in an airplane and reliable.
And they're quite small, light little units as well.
Yeah, I haven't got a lot of.
One fell on me once and like it didn't even hurt.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that. But that's so yes is the answer, but I don't know much about it. Sorry, that's not my world really. But
very cool though.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah.
So if you know more about it, VW Brenadon, let us know.
Yeah.
Comment on this video and tell us what we need to know.
I'd be interested in finding out about that.
And he says for me, other than the really expensive supercars, what would you love to take around the Nurburgring? So it would be... I've been looking recently at a Mercedes S-Class from like 2002 that you can pick up for $2,000.
With a cocktail cabinet in the back.
Yeah. So like an S350. On the same token, like same 2002, 2003, the ugliest BMW 7 Series ever made. You can get a 745 V8. Disgusting to look at, but very, very quick, huge, very, very comfortable, loads of toys for like $2,995.
What?
It's insane.
That's amazing. So is this a continuation of the bottom falling out of the second-hand car market, or is that literally nobody wants that car?
Literally nobody wants that car.
Okay.
Because they're so expensive to maintain and just like run and all that sort of stuff. They have no market. But apart from me taking it to the Nurburgring, which I want to do this year, as part of the Tasty Classics thing, I would like to buy something like that, big super saloon, take it to the Nurburgring, because I love big fat saloon cars around the Nurburgring.
Yeah, that'd be
so
cool.
much fun.
Well, they've got hugely wide tyres, haven't they?
Yeah. Very cool. They're good pendulum effect, so the back end can get out quite nicely.
Yes.
So you don't need lots of power. You just need a little bit of a Scandi flick, and you can make everybody go, "Whoa, that guy's amazing!" It's like, no, it's just that the car's fucking huge.
Has it got traction control?
Yeah, switch all that shit off.
But you can switch it off.
Yeah.
Switch all that shit off. Yes, of course.
Fucking rip it out the floor.
Yeah.
Nothing else for you there, Wynne, but
cool. Thanks for those. Good.
out of all the cars you have owned, are there any you regret getting rid of? We could both answer this one, couldn't we? So for me, I don't really think I panic sold my BMW 5 Series a while ago.
Yeah.
So I had a F11 5 Series 520D that we called the Learjet.
Yeah.
Because
Why?
it was so comfy inside,
So smooth,
so plush, had everything you ever wanted on a car. And it was a 2-litre diesel. It was rapid. It just used to go across countries in minutes. It was just so good. It was an outside lane all the time, 100 mile an hour. It went some stupid speeds and that. I could get everywhere so fast in that car. I loved it to bits. But the 2-litre diesel has real bad timing chain issues.
Okay.
So the timing chains are massive common problem for snapping. I think it's one of the idlers get a bit worn and then it starts flapping around, so you can hear it before it goes, if you're lucky. So I could hear it going, and at the time I didn't have a workshop, didn't have a garage, any of this sort of stuff, so I had to take it somewhere to be done. And the cheapest quote I got was the best part of $2,000, and at the time I made a bad financial decision. I was like, I could get this done for $2,000, or I can put that because I was a little bit pissed off with it because the air suspension kept going and stuff. But it just things that, on the scheme of things now, knowing what I had and looking back on it, I should have just fucking fixed the thing. Very. So what I did is I put $2,000 deposit down on a brand new Jaguar E-Pace. 46 grand worth of car.
And put it in against it.
No, so
you sold it to an old lady. She said it was fine.
Yeah. No, what did I do with the? I didn't put it in part exchange because it still worked fine. I sold it.
You know where I'm going with this. You sold it.
No, I didn't sell it. This was one of the reasons why I got rid of it. So I was paying. It was on finance, but I'd paid over half of the finance agreement. So I was within my rights to hand it back to the finance company.
Oh.
Without getting any sort of bad credit or anything like that. So I was like, fucking, I'll take, because it was fucked and I was going to have to spend $2,000 on it. So I was like, fucking great. So I gave it back to the finance company. I wasn't paying much at all monthly on it. I ended up buying this stupid Jaguar, which was awful. Awful
Brand
car.
new and awful.
Awful. It went back to the dealer so many times. It used to get black screen of death on the stereo, and I'd just be driving along and the stereo would stop working. I was like, this is a brand new Jaguar. And it was embarrassing. It was just embarrassing to drive. Yeah, it was shit for towing. So it had the same towing weight just over as the BMW, but this was a big SUV. So it just wasn't that great for towing, and it used to feel really just shit. Whereas the BMW was always really solid.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling it during the pandemic when We Buy Any Car were losing their minds and offering so much higher than what the car was worth to buy cars in.
Oh.
And they ended up giving me more than I owed for it. And I was just like, okay. And I remember walking out of there going, and you're going to transfer me the money later, aren't you? It was like, yeah. Like, that's definite. You've
and
signed that, haven't you? Yeah, that you've signed there. You're definitely going to... And he was like, yeah. I was like, you fucking idiot. And they really struggled for that. They ended up spending so much money and just like losing tons on cars that they just paid well over the odds for.
Was that like a gig to try and get a good reputation? Because we will buy any car and give you an amazing price.
Well, I think it was all to do with chip shortage.
Oh.
So you couldn't buy brand new cars.
Yeah.
So if you went to Jaguar and said, I want a new E-Pace, I can't tell you when I haven't got any. But I have got this 17,000 mile example here that we can do Europe cheap and all this sort of stuff. So that's why We Buy Any Car were doing it, because the used car dealers were trying to buy those, so the auction prices rose dramatically. And this is where all the problem with a lot of the big price crashes that we're seeing now is because, like, during that time, cars were so hard to get. Teslas were 65 grand, and the same model now is 40, because they've had to really sort of bring everything down, and because it was so massively overinflated. But I took advantage of it and got rid of the E-Pace.
Yeah, cool.
And then bought a fucked old Volkswagen Passat, which I loved. It was great Passat Highline with 190,000 miles on it. So if I could go back in time, Volkswagen Benetton, I would have kept the BMW, had it fixed, had it repaired with a night, because that engine would have done another 150,000 miles if I'd had it repaired, and just kept it and enjoyed it, because I loved that car. It was great. The Learjet. I took it round the Nurburgring.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was fucking great. That's how the air suspension blew the first time round the carousel. Go bang, 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 bang. And then it just went bang. I was like, whoops.
Nice.
So yeah, and I burnt the compressor out because it kept trying to pump it up. And it was doing it. It kept keeping it level all the way home. And I was like, this is great. But the compressor was going, fuck, please, kill me.
There's a hole.
Yeah, there's a hole. I'm fucking blowing up my ass. And then one day it just went bang. And then I fitted 2 Chinese air springs and I parked it on a hill. And then when the handbrake went, so when you park on a hill, the handbrake it sort of lifts up like that because the wheels stay where they are, but the car wants to go, and it just went boom. This airbag just completely exploded, brand new one. It made the loudest boom you've ever heard. We thought we were being shot at. It was amazing.
Where's that?
Outside Aled's dad's house in Broompuddle.
Oh, okay.
Just fucking crazy, but it's great fun. So yeah, that's the car I probably regret selling the most. What about you, Wynne?
It's not a car, it's a motorbike.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
well, he's asked about cars, so cars. No, I'm joking.
Sorry. I don't really regret selling any car, I don't think.
What was the bike, then?
Oh, I had an Opel Manta that I loved. I loved that car.
Nice.
I forgot about that. It's a 1.9 Opel Manta, and it was...
so good.
It was bulletproof, and I remember going to sell it. What was I going to get? I can't remember what it was, but it was a Honda, I think. And I remember my stepfather saying, "You'll never have anything that reliable again," because I had it for about 18 months.
Yeah.
And every time I checked the oil, it just didn't need anything. It was
So
incredible,
good.
and it was just absolutely rock solid.
Love it.
And a nice looking car too.
Yeah. Fucking hell, even now they're sought after things. I'd love to do like a Left 4 Dead on one or something. That'd be really
That'd be cool.
I did one on the Cavalier not so long ago. Similar sort of droop snoop front on it as the Manta, and
Yeah.
it was a big rust bucket. But I would like to do a Manta at some point, definitely.
That'd be cool. But
What colour was it?
Like a baby blue, light blue. It was lovely.
Nice.
Really
Sounds
nice.
so good.
Really
so
nice.
good.
But I really regret selling my Norton Commando, 1975 Norton Commando, 850. It was just mint, and it was just like one of those points in your life when you go, I need the money. I really need the money. But I should have just sucked it up and kept it. But I sold it, and that was a mistake. There you go.
I feel a little but I went through that recently with the Mini. Probably should have, but I needed the money. 15 grand is a lot of money. I needed it, and I know I'm going to regret that.
That's a beautiful car.
Gorgeous thing.
Yeah, whoever bought that had made the right decision.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cheap for what it was, but there'll be others. It's fine.
Yeah.
I might buy it back off him one day if I've got enough money. Who knows?
There you go.
And he also says, also I'd love to see a Volkswagen Left 4 Dead. As would I. My eyes are always open. I'm going to have a look for one.
What would you do?
Beetle.
Carmen Gear.
Yeah, can't give it, but I want to do a Beetle.
Yeah. Oh, Beetle would be great.
Because April wants a Beetle.
Does she?
So I would like to get one, paint it yellow and give it to her.
Oh, you're a lovely man.
I know. I mean, I say give it to her. I would drive it all the time.
Yeah.
But she can have it.
In effect, it's yours.
In effect, it can say it's hers. Yeah. And I look like I've done some really
older
grand
the better.
gesture.
Get a split screen one. That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Hitler's ones.
Yeah, not that.
Oh. Good questions, thank you. And
really good.
Thank you, Volkswagen Brandon. And if you have any questions as well for us and you're listening, just drop us a couple of comments and we'll just read
Honestly,
them.
That's
it's
really
a lot
fun.
of fun for us. It's
and for the Vulcan one too. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything you need to know.
More airplane ones though.
So we mentioned briefly when we were getting pissed the other day about the new laser the British have developed.
Oh,
yeah.
So this is So I now work for a company that flies very high performance targets, drone targets.
So that was what they were using to test the laser on, weren't they? They were blowing these things up that you'd made.
Yeah, there's an amazing. It was in the press quite a bit a couple of weeks ago, and it's an incredible picture, isn't it? Because it's in the dark.
It's, insane.
And did I tell you?
Very sci-fi.
It is very it's called a direct energy weapon, but it's it's a laser. It's
Laser.
it's a laser. And in one meeting, I did say, "Can we put one of these on a shark?" And I found out that very intelligent people, scientists, have no sense of humour whatsoever. There was tumbleweed, and they just got on with the rest of the agenda.
Unless they'd been making this very same joke to themselves, or while they were developing it.
They've done it, and they think, "Shit, how does he know about that?" Yeah, they don't watch the same films as me, clearly.
Clearly. So I just thought it was cool as fuck. What's it mounted to at the moment?
I can't tell you that. No, well, so at the moment it's just on the land, isn't it? So it's
on a truck or is it on land? Or?
It was. Well, so it's at the Hebrides Range where we fly our drone targets, and they'd fired it from there, and it's a historical event because I think with what's going on in the world, they want to put it out there and basically say, look what we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're talking about conscription and all sorts of stuff at the moment, aren't they?
No, it's scary.
Saying it's really going to kick off, which I mean is, I hope it doesn't happen. But if it does, I'm ready to kick some commie ass.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm too old.
Yeah, it's up to 40, isn't it? So I've got 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in and just be like, do you need anyone to just do the driving? Like, can I just drive the tank?
Yeah.
I can't run very fast. Can I just do the driving?
You'd be a fighter pilot, wouldn't you?
No, too big.
Yeah.
I'd be like, nah, I don't want to pay for the excess fuel.
Yeah. What? Because if you tried to do a jet, you'd pull the handle and it would just go.
Just raise up about 4 inches.
And then flop back into the cockpit.
Oh, fuck.
You're like, oh, shit.
Come on!
Going to have to ride this puppy in.
But I won't mind driving one of the big wagons, that carries all the people and that.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I won't mind just running at the enemy with a rifle. I think that'd be quite cool.
What about charging at them with a lance on a horse? That'd be quite cool.
I don't like horses.
Don't you?
No. Found horses could be quite dangerous.
They are. Running at the enemy with a rifle's fine, but those horses...
The fucking horses will get you. They're temperamental. You just don't know.
They bite you, mate.
Oh, God, when they swing their head.
Yeah.
Really bad, aren't they? But yeah, running at the enemy with a rifle, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Into that. Which is a shame as well, because I like the Russians and stuff. I've met quite a few cool Russians in the past.
Yeah.
Shame the country's so fucking annoying.
It's not them, is it? Let's not go down this path. But it's not them. It's him.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I think that sums
even
it
when
up.
they have interviews with some that have managed to escape into other countries, they're like sort of, no, it's shit. Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
But anyway, the laser's really cool.
It is.
Are they going to mount it? Are there plans to put it on planes and stuff? I think.
No, you can imagine, can't you? The thing is, it can go so far.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I melted the moon.
Yeah.
So you can imagine having.
What would happen if you put your hand over it?
I think you'd probably you'd have a hole in your hand, wouldn't you? Or
would
no
it just
hand.
completely jump gone?
I would have thought so. It's literally a laser designed to be a weapon.
So it's not like some beams and stuff like that. It only works there's a rust converter that uses lasers. It only works if it hits metal.
Yeah.
If it doesn't hit metal, it doesn't do anything. So you can put your hand in front of it.
I don't know enough about that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could actually walk past it and go, Colin, get out of the way.
Yeah. Oh, I've been sliced in half.
Yeah. Or not. Yeah.
But no, I find it really cool. Smart.
Well, I'm torn because yes, it is cool. To have that sort of level of technology and we're developing in the UK again because our scientists are amazing.
Yeah.
And the company I work for, they're just incredible. But it's sad, isn't it? It'd be better to be, I don't know, helping turtles to the sea or building schools for orangutans or something, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah. But would you have that same opinion if you were sort of ruled by Vladimir Putin
no,
after he destroyed this country?
So this is exactly it. I've spent my entire sort of working life in the military or working for the military.
Yeah.
But it's tiresome, isn't it, that we need to do it, but we absolutely need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's very important that we we've had, since the last sort of war that we were really involved in, we've had like a real good amount of time of just being quite a nice country, and it's allowed a lot of people to have their voices heard, which probably wasn't on the agenda a while ago, and all this sort of stuff. So I think it's nice to be in a place where these freedoms can be enjoyed, and nobody feels really threatened. And if we have to knock some heads together to keep that,
see what we've done there.
Yeah, I think we will. We have to, don't we?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Can't go back in time in terms of what freedoms are and stuff.
But we were sort of getting there. People were getting rid of the nuclear armaments. All those treaties and all that sort of thing. It felt like we were going in the right direction, and then all of a sudden, it's.
Yeah, but again, it's not us, is it? They started it.
Yeah, true. See what
that Corona's going down really well. Didn't want to mention about servicing your Mercedes.
Oh, it's so it's a little bit. I was thinking about it when you were talking about that BMW.
Yeah.
Because people said, "Oh, you've only got the 2.2 diesel. Oh, that's
disappointing." It goes like fuck
it's
yours.
Really. How do you know?
I mean,
you didn't find the sport button, did you?
No. I kept it in eco all the way, but I did boot it like coming off a couple of roundabouts. So it was pretty good.
No, it's really good. It's
part of the service. Part of a major service.
Yeah, what was that ting 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 noise? It was very hot when I picked it up.
Yeah, the brakes coming.
Yeah, it's a lovely car. I've had it from new.
Yeah.
Since 2013, and I've just kept it, and I keep going to change it and say, why? It's fine.
Immaculate underneath. The only thing is it pulls to the left a touch. Did you see the note I left on the thing?
Yeah, an advisory.
An
ignosory. I don't think it does.
It definitely does. But you'd be used to it, because by the time I dropped it off at your house, I was almost used to it.
Okay.
So you'd just be used to the
So are you telling me,
memory.
Because it would have to be a flat road, obviously, but
if you took your hands off the wheel, it'd go off to the left. I tried it on a few roads just to make sure. But also, your rear tyres had like 20 psi in them.
So I haven't still, I hope.
No, everything's back up. Yeah, everything's back up to 32.
Okay,
which is nice. But yeah, it just
I do that for extra traction off the lights.
Love that. Clever, very clever.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, really good. And just a few things about it. It's such a great car to work on for the service. So
what is that, then?
The under tray is there's two massive under trays to get to the sump plug, right? And on a lot of cars that I've worked on, the Discovery, my mum's Renault, all these things. For some reason, they use different sized bolts, so it's a bit of a blag. So you've got like a few 10 mils and a few 12 mils. On the Discovery, there's a few 15s and two 17s, bizarrely. So halfway through, you've got to stop, put everything down, change the socket, come back and take the other two off.
Stupid.
Really, really annoying. On the Merc, it just every single bolt, not only were they all 8 mils, but they were all exactly the same size and length. So on a lot of other cars, you have different sizes. So you have to remember that on the long ones go at the front, the short ones go at the back, all this sort of stuff. But on the Merc, exactly the same, all the way around, all 8 mils. Buzz, 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 all off in minutes. So good. Real good. I love it when the sort of engineers who built it have thought that maybe one day someone will be trying to service it.
Yeah, it's really good.
We should help them.
Yeah,
which is interesting as well, because the people that are servicing them usually are Mercedes themselves, so it would make sense to make it as easy as you can for people servicing it, so then they're more efficient at your dealership where you're selling them.
And also, the time it takes, so they probably may take you more money, aren't they? Because they can be onto another job. It does make sense.
It does.
As a business.
If you've all got one size of bolt, you can just buy that bolt in more bulk rather than.
So that was a decision that they went through for airplanes. In sort of probably, it came into service in the 80s, but it was developed in the 70s. So the Tornado had what was called LRUs, which was line, as in flight line, LRUs, which were line replaceable units. And so if you had, and you'd open up the site, first of all, it was everything was accessible. All the stuff that you think you'd need to change was easily accessible under doors, and you could undo a couple of bolts, and the whole tray would slide out.
Yeah.
And at the back, you didn't have to do any plugs. It just slotted into a plug at the other end.
Nice.
And as long as it was on the rails, it would like mate nicely at the back. And that was such a huge leap from airplanes before that. So airplanes before that were a nightmare, and you needed 7 elbows to get at some plug that you had to undo,
right?
Before you could get the alternator out, or whatever. And especially radar stuff and all sorts. But it was really thought through for the Tornado, and you could swing the nose open, and there was all sorts of. So you could open up side, and it's a bit like you could do a bite, built-in test equipment. It was called. You press a button, and it would then light an LED, and it would say C10, and you'd look on your little cheat sheet, C10 battery charger, and then you go to battery charger at the back, and they say in the nose, open the nose up. And you'd see the battery charger, and it had you just had to reset something. But it was just really well thought through. Easy to maintain.
Of course, yeah, it's great, isn't it? I mean, a lot of the car manufacturers are doing similar stuff with. They're looking at developing new cars using the same chassis, bulkhead, drivetrain arrangement, which is distasteful to me. Make all the cars different.
That's not new, though, is it?
No. So it hasn't been going on that long. Probably only since late 2000s. I would have thought that they've really started.
Citroen and Peugeot, I'm thinking of.
No, I mean more in terms of, so Volkswagen, for example, this is the one that I know the most about because obviously I used to work for Volkswagen for so long, that they were developed, I can't remember the name of it, but it's essentially a bulkhead of a car with the front bit of the chassis where the engine would go, and the bulkhead with obviously all the steering wheel, pedals, all that sort of stuff, and that goes into what would be the chassis. But that bit of the car was then used across so many different models, because then they could just add the bits on. So all they had to make it, so to make a Golf, a Touran, as in the big MPV, you just have to make a slightly longer chassis, and that's it, and slightly higher suspension and stuff. But all the rest of it is exactly the same.
So Passat, Golf. I guess when they get very Polos were a lot smaller.
Yeah, so I don't think Passat was included. It was more Golfs, Polos, all that sort of range of stuff, really. Yeah. I don't know how much of it they did, but that was the big thing. But now they're doing it with electric vehicles. Okay. So the entire floor is there made. So all the engine, all the batteries, everything, everything's in there, and they build the car around the floor, which is just a massive cop out, isn't it? Yeah. But obviously it saves them loads of money.
Yeah, that's the main thing, eh?
Yeah. I have got an interesting bit of information, though, but I won't say anything more about it. But
you can't do that.
I won't say anything in too much detail about it, but what I will say is there's a manufacturer that sells cars for roughly £150,000. Right? How much do you think it costs them to make that car? £150,000 car, close, 25,000.
Wow!
To make a £150,000 car, cost them 25,000.
Which one is that?
I can't tell you because it'll get back to me. But £150,000 car, it's a humongous profit margin. I'm not telling you, but that's a scale of cost. They only sort of make those cars. Anyway,
is it BMW?
No. So, but it's very, very interesting. And I think I don't know what I can't remember if this is even a thing, but I'm sure it was a Polo or an Up. A few thousand. A few thousand.
Bloody hell.
And it's just because everything's made in-house. Everything is made in such... And there's nothing on them. For a very basic base model that's got no equipment on it.
So I have got a question for you then, which is similar. So people have always said, just buy a Skoda, mate. It's basically a Volkswagen.
Yeah.
How true is that?
Well, Seats were the Skodas of Audi. And Skodas were the Skodas of Volkswagen. And it's essentially the same as Dacias and Renaults. So it's Volkswagen will release the newest technology and the best technology in their new cars. And then after a few years, they give it to Skoda. or they give it to Renault. Or Renault will give it to Dacia, and Audi will give it to Seat. However, there is some cases where they'll release the same car at the same time. So Volkswagen and Skoda released the Me, Volkswagen released the Up. So that's the same car, but slightly lower in price for the Skoda. But that's to hide the fact that they're doing the older technology in the older cars. So for Volkswagen now, imagine you spent all this money developing a new Golf, and in 4 or 5 years' time, you're ready for the next one.
What's a Fabia?
Well, they're all fucked now these days. It's like Karoks, like the 4x4 is like the same as a Golf. It's all the fucking nightmares. But yeah, so imagine you spent that money to research and development on a Golf, and then you had to throw that all away in a few years' time. Instead of doing that, they're putting it onto another manufacturer and selling it.
So you say technology, but actually, if you took, I can't think of an equivalent. So Tiguan and what's the Skoda?
I think it is a Karoq.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, are they the same parts or are they not? Are they like the engine? Is it a Volkswagen engine?
Yeah, so it will. But there's a lot of stuff that the Skoda will either use older Volkswagen stuff, or more likely now. I mean, I think that was more when I was selling cars. I don't think they do it as much now. I think now it's more cheaper materials.
Okay.
So if you look at like the quality of the plastics, the dashboard on a Volkswagen compared to a Skoda, in the door cards and stuff, there is a difference. And I think little things like how many fixings and stuff there are and stuff, just like little things where they could. If you got the Volkswagen, the research and development team, when they build a new Golf, they go, well, this is great, but we could probably cost save by removing X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. That's
your Skoda.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's sort of.
But my point is, if you didn't care about that, and you've got Skoda badge on the front.
Yeah,
but if you don't care about that, you've literally got a Volkswagen quality running gear, everything.
But there will be tiny little annoying differences. So stuff like in a track rod end, Volkswagen might have developed a better new track rod end, and they'll use that. Thing, but the Skoda will have the old one. Okay. Do you know what I mean? That sort of stuff. So if you had a Skoda Karoq and you ordered a Tiguan track rod end,
it wouldn't fit.
It might fit. Chances are it probably would, but there's going to be a load of parts where it won't be the same. It will be ever so slightly different in some way.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. But it's good as well because you can't have all, which is annoying about where all cars using the same platform. Imagine just every car was the same underneath and it was just like a different colour. You know what I mean? It'd be so shit, wouldn't it? You know, and cars, it's so nice when like my favourite thing is to drive loads of different cars and see how they feel. Like, really enjoy driving your Mercedes because it's such a very different feeling to another car. And it's like, it's imagine if they were all identical. Fuck, that'd be shit, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would.
Like if all beers had different bottles, all the bottles were completely different, but it was the same beer inside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just not as good.
That wouldn't be as good.
And I think as well, the manufacturers need to remember that, because if we get to a stage where the beer inside is the same beer all the time, it'll just turn people off the brand and they'll go to other brands. I think it's important to maintain some individuality.
But I think, and it's some performance car. I think I'm trying to. Aston Martin Vantages, from a while ago.
Yeah,
Didn't they have like Ford switchgear or something?
Yeah, and they were the Aston Martin, the DB7, the early DB7s were the same as the Jags and stuff as well. So obviously the XKRs and stuff. In such a similar way, and they had Ford keys.
Yeah, it's annoying that, isn't it?
The Ford key thing was always a big issue for me. When you're getting into a new Jag and it had a Ford key. I hated Ford keys.
It didn't say Ford on it.
No, if you took it apart, it probably would somewhere on the circuit board, on the backs of the plastics. But
don't like that.
No, but they were those stupid little cylindrical keys, little barrels. They don't look like normal keys, and they always went wrong. They're so shit. Once they got to a few years old, they were so hard, and that when they wore, I've had transits and stuff and other things where you could put anything, any Ford key at all, anything that was that shape into it, and it just open it and go.
Nice.
It's crazy. Like really, whoever like passed that as like a good idea, they went, keys.
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 I've got this one for everything.
Yeah, I've got this mega idea. I'm going to completely redesign them. I'm like, hang on, haven't keys been around for hundreds of years, and we've always used the same design because it's the best design? No. I had a completely better design. It's like a cylinder that will wear really easily. Fucking idiots.
Can we pause there for a loo break?
Yeah. Let's do it and get some new beers. But watch this. I'm going to do a big clap, so cover your ears. And we're back. That was good, that clap, wasn't it? So that clap was for so I can match it up.
Do you have to do a clap when you start again?
I don't know. I'll when I edit it later, I'll work out if I needed to or not.
Clapping every 5 minutes and then the next one.
As long as we've got the clap though, that's good, isn't it?
Was that a joke?
That was a joke. So I've had another question that we were just looking through then. Another question from Dino Dad. Cool name. Dino Dad. And so he mentioned, he was listening to Electric Cars Again, which was like episode 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, an early one, yeah.
And he mentioned stuff like having the battery of a car, so it removes and it's at a petrol station, big conveyor belt and stuff like that, which is great. And totally my thinking as well. They have developed it in China.
Yeah, I've seen a South Korean scooter one where you just you take the one out of your scooter, you slide into a slot and you take another one out.
Yeah, genius. Absolutely, that's how it should be. And with the big, you drive onto this thing, there's 4 points in the car, it holds the car in place, changes battery and you carry on going, it takes 5 minutes. We should have done that. The problem is people like Elon Musk won't share. There's no reason for him to. He's got the best ones. Why would he give all the other manufacturers the best one? It'd cut off all of his sales.
Yeah.
So lots of things like that, really, reasons why not, sadly, because that would be the end to it, And I think there is market regulations that mean if you're going to do it, everyone has to be involved. So, like, Mercedes, BMW, Volkswagen couldn't just develop it amongst themselves because that would be unfair, something or other, because it'd be too big. Something like that. Anyway.
What, Monopoly Commission type thing?
Something like that,
yeah. As I've never had anything to do with electric cars, what are all the charging plug shapes the same? Can you go anywhere?
There's like 3 different ones.
Oh, there are 3 different ones.
I think.
Because you clearly pull into a motorway service station and there's a line that say Tesla on them.
Yeah.
So if I pull in
you couldn't go onto one of them with a Nissan Leaf.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can't. But
that's
again,
a crap start, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, I can't use Shell. I can only use BP.
Yeah. I've watched some brilliant electric car stuff recently. In North America, it got to like minus 15 Celsius and stuff like that, and below, and there was these fields of like Tesla superchargers with people with these cars, these Teslas, that they were all dead, and they'd be dead to the point because all batteries hate the cold.
Yep.
So the Tesla battery uses some of the battery to heat itself up. So when it's cold, it's always at a nice temperature. So the problem is that when it's really, really, really cold, your battery is going down quicker because your battery is using itself to heat itself up.
Okay.
Which is a fundamental issue, isn't it? You can see where that would go after a couple of hours. Yeah. So anyway, they were interviewing this guy at this place, and there was just cars littered around everywhere because when they stop, and they're very difficult to push, I think. So they're trying to get them to these superchargers. There's snow everywhere. It's chaos. Like, and there's this one guy, and he's in his car, and he's got his whole family in the car, and his wife's just like, "You're a fucking prick. Why didn't you buy a fucking petrol car? You're so stupid." And he's like, "I've got something like I've got 20 miles of range left. We need to get home. We live X, Y, and Z." And he says the problem is that because it's so cold, the chargers themselves are cold. They can't put the electricity into the batteries because the batteries are also too cold fast enough. So what would have taken you 45 minutes, he says, to get the same amount of range, because the battery will, to go further in the cold, needs more juice in it as if it was hot.
Yeah.
So it's instead of being 45-minute charge, it's 2 hours 45 minutes.
Wow.
He was sat there for. And it's mental. It's just absolutely mental that this is such a thing. But this is why they're not building stuff. Have you noticed? They've stopped. They're not doing it, and it's great because they know because they know it's fucked. They know it's a stupid idea.
They should have just take the battery out and like rub it.
Yeah,
and put it back
between
in.
you or under the armpit.
Yeah, that works.
5 minutes.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. It's crazy. And there are other people as well, just like, I watched a guy, just again, someone on the motorway just complaining that, was it Glasgow to London? It took him something like 10 hours.
No.
Yeah. And it's just like, because his car said it had loads of range, it just didn't. And it's, if it says it's got 200 miles of range and it only does 100. And I had a conversation with a guy that he bought the Fiat 500 as a runaround because he had an electric Volvo.
Yeah.
And he was just like, it doesn't do anywhere near the range that they said it would.
Wow.
So I have to have this Fiat because the Volvo's on charge.
So he's doing most of his driving in the Fiat.
Yeah, so you got 2 cars. That's good for the environment, isn't it? Knobheads. Sorry, he wasn't knobhead. It was really nice. But anyway, so Dino Dad has said. I'm really interested. Oh yes, that was a question. Why didn't the manufacturers agree to that style of one battery and make them removable? So there you go. From what I know, that's the sort of insight into it. But he has also mentioned the used car price market and stuff as well, which is still really interesting. Yeah. So interesting to watch.
But that's not just electric cars.
No, it's everything.
Yeah, Range Rovers. I mean, just ridiculous.
But
Isn't that an insurance thing?
Yeah, can't get insured on them, so they're just dropping like bombs, and it's mad. And little things as well, like some cars are going up, like Porsche Cayman. I was looking at a little Cayman the other day, little Cayman S 3.4, should be 10 grand now. They're not. They're like 16, 17 for the same ones that were 12, 13 2 years ago. Well, longer than that, 3 years ago. So instead of having this spike and going down again, they've had this spike and it's just either stayed there or continued to grow, which is mad. Yeah. But they are great buy for that money, I would imagine.
I was just trying to, that just made me think about prices going up. I remember a guy in the Air Force, obviously single, put his name down for a Porsche Boxer when it was like the new car to have in the waiting list, and sold his place in the waiting list and made a ton of money. Because have you heard of that before?
Well, that's how Ken Crunch, who I worked for in Pentrife, that's how he made a lot of the money to reinvest. So we started off, I think, with a couple of the Asian market cars. So it was Suzuki, Mazda, I think he started off with, Datsun maybe, I think. And then that developed into having an Audi garage. And with this Audi garage, he had the contacts and stuff available to put his name down and buy a lot of Porsches.
Yeah.
So he could get the same logbook loan efficient, type sort of stuff if we talk, financed cars.
Yeah.
So he'd put these deposits down and buy these Porsches. So these Porsches would arrive in stock. And obviously he's paid a really, really good price on because he might have ordered 5.
Yeah,
because he's a dealer and all this sort of stuff, and he's got people.
So is that a thing? You can get, if you order more, you can get a better price.
So he will have done it through brokers and stuff. So he'll have someone that's able to just order it from the factory and just sort of have it shipped over. So you can skip dealerships if you want to buy a brand new car as well, but it is a little bit tricky.
Okay.
It's all about sort of what you know and who you know and all this sort of stuff. It's not an easy thing to get into. But yeah, so Ken would have ordered these Porsches. They arrived. And his markup on these Porsches was like 20 grand, 40 grand.
Wow.
And we're talking, must have been 90s, big markups.
So you make 20 grand on one car?
On one car, just because you've got it. Yeah. And nobody else has got it. They're so in demand. And it's the same truth now. You've got like, is it the 911 RS? Is just so sought after, you just can't get them. But now we're seeing that turn around slightly, and I'm hoping it's going to start affecting because cars are becoming available again, which is very, very interesting. We're just getting into that now. So a lot of people who've bought on a speculation basis, like Ken did, to sell on to people that just wanted one tomorrow, instead of having to wait a year for one to be built, we're starting to see that becoming a problem because the cars are becoming available, which is like the thing with the Defender. I was complaining about, and I want to get a new Defender.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold off until next year. Okay. Because my Discovery's stopped going into limp home mode, but which is great.
So you fixed that then?
I fix it just by ignoring it. Yeah, just like leaving it alone. But I've got something else to talk about the Discovery anyway. Big, massive bill heading my way. So yeah, I was looking at Defender, and then with this, I thought I'd leave it a year because I saw the people that I was going to get the Defender from were making noises like there's going to be big deals on the way and availability. And I would always hate to put a long-term 6-month factory order in for something because so much can change in life in 6 months.
Yeah.
I'd hate to just lose that deposit because in 6 months' time I couldn't afford it, or I'd wanted another different car or anything like that, So I'm just going to wait and see. And maybe next Christmas.
Is that a function of like winding up the machine because everybody wants one, and then the machine's at full chat, and there's millions of cars available, so all of a sudden, oh shit, we're going to have to sell them off at a better price.
So that's exactly what's happening to Tesla.
Okay.
So Tesla's going through that at the moment, which is why he's reduced new car prices. And if you go past the Tesla dealership in Chester, it's full of cars waiting to be sold. Land Rover is slightly different. They weren't making them because the demand wasn't there. So like a lot of them. So the one I wanted was the Defender Commercial 90.
Oh yeah.
And when I asked him, I said, "Why aren't they making them?" He says, "Well, there's more demand for discos, Range Rovers, all this sort of stuff. So they're putting all of their work into that rather than making a 90 commercial Defender.
Oh, okay.
So they're just not making them. Whereas if they were just cranking them out, it would be great deals. But that's what I think is coming. I think these deals they're going to start cranking them out, because I don't think they're selling new Range Rovers because of the insurance stuff.
Yeah.
They were all a little bit antsy.
So they're easily nickable, aren't they?
Yeah, but the thing is, as well, I'm sure the insurance ombudsman or whatever it's called, the insurance agency, I can't remember the name for it. Part of being an insurance company, or part of owning, running an insurance firm, is you have to offer insurance, no matter what the price is.
Just traditional.
Yeah. You can't pick and choose.
Were you telling me? I hope it wasn't in the last podcast that somebody with a Range Rover was quoted $100,000 insurance because they're basically saying it's going to get nicked.
Yeah, that wasn't me, but that's probably right. You
live just outside the M25.
Oh God,
it's going to be nicked.
Hell, yeah.
So you can pay basically the price of the car nearly.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Incredible, isn't it? But the thing is, as well, is that they have just done. I think they've spent a few million, Jaguar Land Rover, in doing software updates and recalls to make them harder to nick, and I'm hoping that is an end to the problem, and it's going to affect a lot of them, and that'll be a huge thing, because if they can do that, then it's going to make everything a bit better, I think. Yeah. You can't, doing stuff like that, it has such a knock-on effect on everything, and it just becomes... Because insurance companies are the new estate agents, aren't they? They're just horrible, horrible people. I hate dealing with car insurance companies. They've got you by the bollocks, and there's fuck all you can do about it. You can't go on the road unless you've got insurance. And they know that, and they're after you every penny. They're just,
But they all, this whole thing of it's like, your insurance has gone up a lot this year.
Yeah.
And then you have a hunt around, and you say, hang on, I can get it like cheaper than last year. Oh yeah, we'll do it for that then. It's just really naughty that.
It's just such a shit. But I think the whole thing with the Range Rover stuff is they're saying to people, "Oh, we're not going to show," or your insurance has got it massively because they're getting nicked, and people are paying it, so they're going, well, should we tell Mr. Molesworth with his, old Discovery there, or, Mr. Garratt with his Mercedes there, should we tell them, it's going up this year?
It's nicked.
We could just, the boss has come out from his office one day and goes, 20% on everybody's policy next year, and let's see what happens. And I bet everybody will pay it, and he's probably right, apart from the people that shop around. And it's shit. It should be well more regulated. I've got trade policies, so it's not a massive problem for me, but it is still annoying. It kind of is a problem for me, because when I took the trade, the one that I've got now out 2 or 3 years ago, he goes, it's expensive now because after a few years it'll go down a bit with the expense, and it hasn't.
Yeah. Right, funny that.
Yeah, funny that. Nice one. Fucking salesman. What were we going to talk about then? I forgot. Do you want to talk about the seedy side of Volkswagen?
I do.
So,
that's interesting.
Yeah. companies.
Hang on, can you do this?
Yeah, fuck it, why not? Very.
Which car do they make for 40 grand and sell for 150?
25.
Oh yeah, I said 40.
Yeah. It's not Volkswagen. Although Volkswagen own it. No, I'm not saying. Anyway, I went to Zaragoza in Spain quite a few years ago when the Mark 7, or was it the Mark 5? I can't remember. Mark 5, Mark 7. One of those Golfs were released.
Yeah.
Right? So brand new Golf, and the good salesman from like every area, every sort of catchment area was invited to go over to Zaragoza for 2 nights and all this sort of stuff. So
is that why you were invited?
Yeah. So the boss says, Ben, do you want to go? Yeah. There's a whole other story attached to this, which I'll tell you one day. But I think I need to trust all these listeners a bit more first. But the main thing is so the first night we're all offloaded on this plane and we're taken to this skyscraper, and this skyscraper has got a image of a Golf projected onto it,
right
on site, going down, facing down, and
yeah.
It's a sight to behold. It's how the fuck have you managed to do that? It's a massive skyscraper. So they've got this Golf on there. We were all just like wowed because this is the newest car, supposed to be the best technology and all this sort of stuff. And to be fair, it's a great car. So anyway, we walk into this thing, and we're all getting off buses and stuff. So and then we're all mingling in this like. It's during the day, so it's quite brightly lit, and it's a lobby and all this sort of stuff. And you can tell it's like a nightclub sort of thing, vibe, and the middle of it is completely hollow. So it's just rings and rooms around the edges, and it's just a big hollow thing in the middle. It's dead cool. So we're all milling around, and it becomes glaringly obvious that it's so the first night was supposed to be. It's a party, it's a big club, it's a bar, free bar, you just drink what you want, you can have a great time, and tomorrow we're going to take you and show you around all the cars, show you all the competition, it's going to be amazing. We were well up for this. So anyway, everybody starts to come in, it's glaringly obvious, it's all guys, right? There's probably a handful of women, if that, and maybe 1,000, 1,500 blokes.
Yeah.
Very, very sausage fest to the max, like.
Yeah.
So we were all like, this is cool, but... fucking hell, what are we doing here? Like, is there anywhere else we can go? So we each had a rep, sort of, that was like, so the northwest of England had one, south of England had one, Wales had one, Scotland had one, and then there was a couple of other countries there as well. And then so we were like, right, okay. And so they were like, oh, you got this rep, and we were making jokes. So he's like, oh, don't worry about that, we've got that covered. I was like, what? What do you mean you got that? It's so fucking weird. So anyway, we check into the hotel. After we've all met there, we get in our individual things. We're all given our passes to go and check into your hotel. So we get in our individual small vans and we head off to the hotel, check in and all this sort of stuff. Get ready, and then we're meeting for this party, like 6 o'clock or whatever. So we head into this big building, 6 o'clock, all suited and booted, ready to go. And again, massive sausage fest. But about half an hour after I arrived, there's loads of hubbub, people going, oh, no, what's happening, like, oh, fucking hell, what's happening? So we all look outside in the sort of big foyer area, and 3 full massive coaches, and honest to God, I am not making any of this up, this is the God's honest truth, 3 massive coaches pull up full of 20 to 30-year-old women.
What?
Full of 20 to 30-year-old women, right? God's honest truth. These 3 coaches, and they flood this place, yeah? And they just come in, and they're all having a great time, blah, 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 and they start to walk in, and it was the most uncomfortable, the seediest, and the most wrong thing I've ever seen before in my life. I honestly, I just couldn't believe what was going on. And all of us, there was other contingencies, other countries and stuff, where maybe this was a bit more normal, and they were all loving it and starting to mingle and dance and party, talking to all the girls. But us lot, we were like, what the fuck?
That's just odd.
They just burst in a load of babes, and they were all hot. And we're like, we start talking amongst ourselves. Hey, where have they come from?
Yeah.
Hey, how were they here? how much have they paid them to come here? Have they promised them? So many questions.
What's the agenda?
So much. Have they paid these women to come to this bar to talk to us, and maybe we go back to the hotel? So seedy. So we started talking to Rep about this, and I think when they decided to do it, this must have been something they always did. He was obviously sold on it being the best idea ever, and it was all cool. And when we were asking him these questions,
I love it.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, well, if you put it like that, we were all like, fuck it." But anyway, we started to get pissed, and it ended up being really good. But how seedy?
That's really bad.
Seedy as hell, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Never known anything, and this is Volkswagen.
Yeah.
This isn't some shitty little company. This is Volkswagen, you know.
That's amazing.
Very wrong.
Well,
very, very wrong.
In a very similar vein, the World Economic Forum has been going off in Davos in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Maybe last week, the week before, and it's all the bank. It's basically everything to do with finance from the whole Western world.
Yeah.
Bankers. I think. I know the gist of the. Like the strapline for this particular economic forum was regaining trust, something like that. It's because bankers,
of course,
nobody trusts them.
No, why would you?
Why would you? And just before, about a week before, this woman in Davos who runs an escort agency said, "We are completely booked." We are completely booked, and there isn't a single escort agency anywhere in Davos or anywhere outside Davos that has any escorts left for the entire. And it's like,
shit.
What? I love that she tweeted that.
Yeah.
It's like, you bunch of arseholes.
That's mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental.
But Volkswagen.
Yeah. My biggest question is, where did they come from? Because, in the nice, they were so done up, but they were done up all in short skirts and all in sort of, and it was so seedy, man.
Who thought?
They kind of look, and I'm trying to be really respectful here, but they look like potentially prostitutes or something like that. But there were so many of them that you can't possibly get that many. But maybe they could. Maybe they got in contact with all the agencies in the area and just went, "Listen, I want all you girls. We're putting this event on, this corporate event. Very interesting.
But it looks so bad. The whole. We're trying to get away from the whole patriarchy, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so bad.
It was a real bad taste in your mouth, man. Bad taste. I think that was something to do with being prostitutes. No, horrendous. Really, really bad. And yeah, just. I think it's they should do better than that. And there wasn't really going to be any problems with it all being guys there. I mean, it wasn't a massive sausage.
No, it's a car.
It was a car thing. We were probably all stood around talking about cars all night.
Yeah.
But I got the feeling that some of the sort of maybe the German guys or the Belgians and that sort of stuff, maybe it was more a thing for them. It would seem to be quite a. They seem to be getting on with it more than the English guys. The English guys are like, "What the fuck?" This doesn't happen. This isn't a thing. But yeah, very, very strange.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, very, very odd. They did loads of mad stuff like that, though, to be fair. Always just doing stuff that you just wouldn't expect of this massive company. Like having these DJs on and things and just really obviously they're you go into Milton Keynes in their head office and you have all this training about how good we are and we're so sustainable. We're a very forward-thinking company and we want women salespeople and we want all this sort of equality in the workplace. And then they go and do that.
Yeah.
It's mental.
Yeah. Surely you'd think that the policies were international, just not for one country.
Yeah. Very. And I was saying as well, you couldn't do that in the UK. Maybe it goes on all the time, and I'm just a little bit too innocent.
Yeah, that's not that's not the first thing that would jump to mind.
No.
When they say Ben Molesworth. But,
yeah.
But no, I know what you mean though. Naive to that sort of high level corporate stuff.
Yeah. Who's organised? Whose job is it?
Yeah.
To go oh, by the way, Brian, can you make sure we get 3 coach loads of women at the Zaragoza gig?
Yeah. And he checks his watch. He went, yeah, well, it is 1973.
Yeah, that's it.
That's really odd.
But, on the other hand, this is is it a bad, it's like Grid Girls, isn't it? So, who's complaining really? I wasn't necessarily complaining. I was just saying it was seedy and it was odd and it was just something that was a bit uncomfortable. But if I'm really honest, after the eight to 10 bottles of beer, it was really good that they were there, and we ended up having a great time. But
it's. I think we've moved on from that, and it's like the Grid Girls thing. It's like literally, you can stand there in a skin tight outfit and hold this sign, love. I think we're better than that now.
But who's complaining about it? Because it's not the girls doing it.
Yeah, it's not that. It's the objectification of.
But we still have models.
Yeah, why aren't there some blokes in little shorts? You could do that, couldn't you?
I could, yeah. But no, I mean, you've still got models on catwalks and all this sort of stuff, and you've got actors and actresses, and you've got pop stars and things. They all have to look a certain way. So, is it wrong to have the people holding signs at a race the same way? Is it wrong to bus in a load of people that you want salesmen to mingle with that look a certain way? And these, all the girls that were there, I remember them all.
I remember them all.
Yeah, I remember them all. It took me a while, but I remember them all being like, they all looked so happy to be there and looked like they were having they were on the they were on the good end of the deal. Yeah. Does that make sense? Because they were obviously getting paid to drink and listen to stupid old men talk shit. So for them, it must be the best gig in the world.
Really?
But, if someone said to me, right, Ben, okay, so next week...
I've listened to you when you're pissed. That is not the best gig in the world.
Yeah, it's true. But if they said, right, go to this hotel full of women, and we're going to pay you for the night, we're going to get all your booze, all you got to do is listen to these women. I'm like, fucking cool.
Yeah, it's not that way round, is it? The pendulum needs to overswing. So you look at the Mercedes F1. They're doing a massive campaign to try and get more women into motorsport at all aspects, not just the drivers. They're trying to do that with the driving side, but also in all aspects of it. So, the picture that it gives is that it's like what you can do is hold this umbrella or sign. That's what you can do. But you can't use a wheel gun, and that's what we're trying to get away from, because they clearly can use a wheel gun. Of course. And I remember the same thing.
But just on that though, a friend of mine works for Caterham Racing, so and she does a lot of the prep for the race cars and goes to different race meetings and does all the mechanical side of stuff for them and setups and all this sort of stuff. She's incredibly good at what she does, and she's very high up in this very prestige brand that she works for as well. And very high up there, she's absolutely fantastic. But is there not room for her and, maybe someone who doesn't really want to get their hands dirty and would rather just be, I just want to hold the sign, I want to be involved, I just want to be, I want to be around these race drivers, I love the whole atmosphere, I love everything, just want to hold the sign. I love, I spend a lot of time in the gym, I spend a lot of time looking after my body, I really, really try in every way to make myself look good, because that's my hobby, that's what I enjoy. Can I not have this job?
Yeah, you can, but then do 50-50 with blokes who like being in the gym.
But no guys want to do it, though.
Don't they?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know anybody that particularly wants to.
There's a lot of posers in the gym.
If it's a woman racing driver, her grid guy, the one that stands next to her car, is a guy. That'd be brilliant. So then you'd know which ones are the women drivers.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from that. I hope so. Well,
I think freedom of choice is good, though.
I've seen this in the RAF. When we got female engineers, women engineers, women pilots, and in the beginning it was really gut-wrenchingly awkward, because some of the comments that would never be made today. Yeah, and you just talk to some of those women in the early days, and the crap they had to put up with was unbelievable. Right, because it come from a how are you going to manage up then? Just incredible. Some of my best friends, Kirsty Murphy, was the first woman to be in the Red Arrows, and
Wow.
she's an incredible pilot, absolutely incredible. So this idea that there's any difference at the highest levels between people, if they want to do it, they absolutely can. Absolutely can. I mean, we know about difference in strength and all that sort of stuff, because I was reading an article the other day about F2 to F1. The F2 cars are very, very physical to drive. F1 are less so. So it's actually a barrier for women to get through F2 into F1 because they're very heavy to drive.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you've got to be incredibly strong to drive a car like that, you know.
So there's some stuff there, but yeah, I mean, I hope we're getting better than that, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, listen, I do totally agree with that. I think that, you know, it's there's no place for anything like that. But on the same token, you are from the 70s, aren't you? So, like, I get it totally that you'll have seen a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't see loads of it.
I just see
in my day-to-day life.
I just see some, and I do go into bat. I've seen some comments on aviation sort of social media websites,
right?
And about some, you know, people who have no clue, and I have come, and said, "Hang on, surely you don't know what you're talking about," because people will. It's just that knee-jerk thing. It's like,
but you know,
you can fly it, but you can't park it, love. It's like, it's like, oh, come on, come on. That's you couldn't do it, mate.
It's a good clean gag, that.
You couldn't do it. It's like, so.
But
it does annoy me that.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, it must be said in all of my. So when I'm doing the YouTube stuff, in all of the comment section, I've never seen any sexism once, and I get lots of comments from women.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, all the comments from women are the same as the comments from guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. The only reason I know it's women is because there's a girl's name at the top of it.
Yeah.
There's no difference in what they're saying. They're still as technical. They're still saying the same things. I never see any sort of sexism in those terms. And in just like general work and stuff, when I'm doing stuff, if there's a girl, there's never any sort of, you never worry too much about it. As I'm talking though, I have just remembered recently there's a girl YouTuber that I know of. Should I say her name? Maybe. I Drive a Classic. But I noticed she put up a Facebook post the other day, and it was just her stood next to this car, and she was like, it was a Bentley, and she was like, oh, the latest videos on this Bentley, blah, blah, blah. It's really old classic Bentley. And all the comments, very nice, normal comments, exactly the same as I get on mine, but I saw one comment that said, I love watching this girl, fantastic legs. And I remember seeing that and going, you've just let us all down.
Yeah.
You've let us all down there just by that one. Because the rest of the comment section, perfection.
Yeah.
One guy.
Yeah.
And that's really, really annoying. That
it's really annoying, and we're getting there, but it's like
if
there's the odd Neanderthal, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And if it was my sort of Facebook comment section, I delete that, because if someone else who wants to make stupid comments might feel safe because there's another guy that made it, So and I think if you delete them and every other comment's really, really positive, people are going to feel awkward about making it, which that guy should have done. Yeah. So that's a bit nice. So maybe I have seen a couple of examples of it, but I still think very much that there should be a freedom of choice for, like, if grid girls want to exist, let them exist.
Okay.
And if Volkswagen want to ship girls in there, maybe they shouldn't.
Maybe they shouldn't. That was really interesting.
So weird, isn't it? And again, 100% God's honest truth.
Yeah, no, I believe you.
Really sketchy.
That'd be a really weird one to make up.
I've got some photos of it somewhere and you can just tell.
Yeah, it's odd.
It's odd. The whole thing was weird. And it was funny as well, just briefly on that, just before we go, that there was they bought all the competition cars out, and there was one moment where we were in the sort of this classroom style environment, and there was a guy, and he was like, we'd been doing the Mercedes A-Class, BMW 1 Series, Audi A3, all this sort of stuff, and it was like, so he obviously thought the new Golf was the fucking bee's knees. We go, So we've collected all of your answers, and because we all had these buttons to press, of which we thought, so it was like, which one had the best boot? Press A if it's a Golf, B if it's a Mercedes, C if it's a thing. Which one felt the nicest to drive? A, B, C. And
he went, Golf.
Yeah, so that's what. So he was expecting.
Golf.
Mercedes A class.
Oh, really?
And I remember us all bursting out laughing in this train because we'd all put A class because the A class is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but also, so you're going to be a bit like underhanded about British shipping in women to this do.
Yeah.
Well, at least frig the bloody numbers.
Yeah. He could have put anything on the screen and we'd have all been like, oh yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah. 100% cool.
That's really odd.
But that was funny. All A class. Anyway, should we call it? It's 2 hours.
Yeah, good. Brilliant.
And listen, if you enjoyed listening to this, please leave us a comment. Tell us any questions that you might have. And give us a subscribe. That would really help us. And we'll see you probably in another week or two.
Yeah, sounds good.
Bye.
Cheers.